Hey, what's up guys? Brad with the Squared Away Everyday channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at a topic that I have researched for like years. I'm a bit of a car guy, if you didn't know, and I just appreciate a good automobile. So today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 reliable sports cars under 50-ish $1,000. I've got the laptop pulled up. We'll be doing some screenshots and stuff today, and kind of a quick little caveat here is when I went to go look for a car for myself, I wanted it to be pretty reliable. Now, we're not talking about, you know, Toyota Camry reliable where we're putting this 400,000 miles on this thing and we're going to drive it forever. We're talking sports car reliable. These are high performance sports cars. You're going to have some pressure on the vehicle itself just by owning a vehicle like that. Even if you're like a dentist on Friday night when you're going to get sushi, you're probably going to be punching it out of that red light once in a while. So anyway, these are high performance sports cars, and they will have less reliability than like a Toyota Camry, but we want them to be pretty reliable nonetheless. So that was my first thing. I wanted it to be fun and fast, and I wanted it to be able to be a good daily driver. So that's kind of the criteria we're looking at here. And if you know you've ever had any sort of financial success, you may have wondered to yourself, hey, I wonder what I could pick up that would be awesome and fun to drive for like under 50K. And let me caveat that sounded wrong. I don't define my success by things I own or the money I make, and you shouldn't either. I define my success by my faith, my incredible family and loved ones, and my continued effort to make myself an asset and not a liability to my family, my friends, my employees, and my community. So anyway, you're not here to be inspired though, or motivated. So let's go ahead and take a look at the top 5 cars. We're going to start at number 5 and work our way up to number 1, my top pick. So the first one we're going to be taking a look at is a Dodge Challenger Hellcat. Let's go ahead and take a look down here. These are awesome vehicles. You're looking at a rear-wheel drive, 707 horsepower vehicle that goes 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. And this one that I'm showing you here is in their Battleship Gray. And I'm not going to zoom around too much because I do want to respect whoever's vehicle that is and not, show the license plate on the rear. But anyway, the Dodge Challenger Hellcat rear-wheel drive, 707 horsepower. Are you freaking kidding me? You're going to pick these suckers up for like under 50K. You can certainly do it on a 2016, 2017, maybe a 2018 model, even if you're lucky with a little higher mileage. But the reason why I think that this is pretty reliable is A, they've been relatively reliable for the most part. They certainly have a fair amount of small issues, but not anything huge. And also you can get these suckers still in factory warranty, and you're paying under 50 grand for it. So that's really, really cool. It's a relatively new vehicle that you're gonna have for under 50K, and it's probably gonna be the most amount of fun that you could ever have in a rear wheel drive vehicle, being that it's 707 horsepower. Definitely don't let your mom test drive this thing once you get it. Just my opinion on it. Moving to the number 4 spot. Let's take a look here. Okay, this is one that I've loved since I was like a kid. This is the Audi R8. And let's take a look down here. The Audi R8, what a beautiful vehicle here. And the Audi R8, let's actually talk about it for a second. I think the Audi R8 started as a concept car. Man, I remember being at a car show with my brother and my grandpa back, I don't know exactly what the year was, but before the movie Minority Report came out. And they had this new concept car that looked just like the Audi R8, very similar anyway. And I think they called it the Audi 2000 or Audi 2020 or Audi 2002, something like that. It was something like that, their concept car. And the concept car kind of debuted in the movie Minority Report, and years later, the Audi R8 came out with some slight, differences and stuff like that, just because of the manufacturing process. But anyway, the Audi R8, what a beautiful looking vehicle. So the first vehicle we looked at was a classic muscle car. That was the Dodge Challenger Hellcat. This one, it is a mid-engine supercar. This is probably the most expensive car on the list that you're gonna find, but a mid-engine supercar. These suckers sold for well over 100K when they were brand new. You're gonna be looking in like the 2009-ish years. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look down here again. And this is, look at this beauty. They've got these cool little like side panels on here. I think those are carbon fiber. But anyway, these have been proven to be pretty reliable vehicles. And for the most part, they're going to be a great daily driver for you. So for this particular vehicle here, we're going to be running a 420 horsepower engine, and it's going to go 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. So definitely not our fastest car on the list. But if you're looking for something that is just kind of a showstopper, or you want people to look at that thing and be like, wow, that is a cool car. If you're into that, then the Audi R8 is going to be an awesome one. You may have to shop a little bit to get this one under 50K, but I was looking at one maybe 4 or 5 months ago in Utah, and it was a beautiful black one, and I think it was like 47,500, and it was an '09. So you can definitely find them for sure. Beautiful vehicle, awesome daily driver, and that is our number 4 pick, is the Audi R8. Moving on to our third pick here, it was really difficult for me. I couldn't decide whether we wanted to do, I couldn't decide between the number 2 and the number 3 spot. So this is the one I went ahead and settled on. And this is a Porsche 911 Turbo, specifically the 996. I think the 996s ran from like 99, I want to say, to 2005. And these are incredible vehicles. The engine in them, you might be thinking, if you're familiar with Porsche at all, you might be thinking, but the 996 had the IFS issues. They did have the IFS issues, but in the 911 Turbo, they were using the Racing Metzger engine, and that engine has proven to be bulletproof over the years. So if you pick up one of these suckers for like 60, 70,000 miles on it, you're gonna be able to just run this thing as a daily driver, and it's gonna be awesome. Now let's take a look down here. This is the Porsche 911 Turbo, and these suckers, like I said, you pick them up from 99 to 2005 for the 996, and you can certainly get them under 50K. What a beautiful looking vehicle right there. These guys stock are about 415 horsepower, and the 0 to 60 is 4.2 seconds. Now, let's talk about this. I went maybe 3 months ago, I was this close to purchasing a beautiful 996 Turbo, and I'll flash the photo here. It was a beautiful basalt black, which is their metallic black, and it had flecks of gold flake in it, I guess, to make it metallic, and it had gold wheels on it, and that thing was absolutely gorgeous. And I kind of decided against it because I went with a different car that is on this list, but absolutely gorgeous. And I do love the Porsche 996. You may be able to get lucky and find a Porsche 997, which ran from, I think it was like 06 to maybe 2010, 2011, somewhere in that ballpark for the 997s. So you might be able to find a used one with a little higher mileage. And personally, I'd probably go with the 997. It's gonna be easier to resell, but I will say, let's take a look again. These beauties are bumping up in value like crazy. There's this one for sale. These are bumping up in value like crazy. And this particular one, so here's the downsides to the 996. These headlights are not just a classic oval, and they got kind of a weird shape to them. People didn't really like that. And then the interior was kind of outdated. But I mean, let's be honest, this is a vehicle that's about 20 years old, but it's still got great performance. It's going to be an awesome daily driver. They are all-wheel drive, and they're super fun to drive. That one that I showed you had a exhaust on it and a little bit of a tune, and that sucker was well over 500 horsepower, and I think it was pulling like 2.9 0 to 60s, and it pulled hard through every gear. So love the Porsche 911 Turbos. And this is a rear engine vehicle. So initially we looked at the muscle car, then we looked at a supercar mid-engine, and now we're looking at a rear engine. I guess it'd be considered a supercar, a rear engine supercar. So kind of take your pick here. And so the Porsche 911 Turbo, the 996 specifically, you'll certainly be able to get under 50K. Now, if you're a family guy and you need a bigger backseat, this is just kind of a bonus. This isn't number 2. You can go ahead and take a look at let's look at it. Boom! Porsche Panamera Turbo S. These are awesome vehicles. I think this is actually a 4S here is what this says down here, but essentially the same thing aesthetics wise, not the engine, but great vehicles here. And you notice it's got kind of this weird shape to the back. And I don't know if it was the guy that was running Porsche at the time, or if it was one of the designers. I don't remember the story exactly, but whoever, it was one of those two. He wanted to have a vehicle that was pretty much a 911 Turbo that a 6'4" male could sit in the back seat and still be comfortable. So that's why, if we look, it's got this weird back end to it, and from the front they look very good. From the rear, they look a little weird. They look a little bit weird. So that's just, you know, you either love them or you hate them, but just kind of a bonus one there. If you're looking to pick up a Porsche Panamera, under 50K, you're probably looking at like a 2010-ish is what you're looking at. The interior is going to be much nicer than the 996 we were just talking about, being that it's a newer vehicle. These suckers are about 500 horsepower for the Turbo or the Turbo S. They're slightly different, but around 500 horsepower. And you're running a 0 to 60 in let me see my notes here. Was it 4 seconds? Yep, 4 seconds flat. So anyway, that's just a quick little bonus. Now, let's take a look at the number 2 pick. The number 2 pick is like, if you grew up and you were in high school, anywhere from like 2003-ish to like 2008 or 9, you're gonna love this vehicle. You know what it is. It is the Nissan GTR. Now, the Nissan GTRs, if we take a look down here, beautiful vehicles, Japanese made, they're relatively reliable vehicles. They do have some issues. I don't remember if it was with the clutch or the transmission. It was something like that. And they're just kind of hard to work on. So they typically just go ahead and replace those. But anyway, the Nissan GTR, excellent vehicles. And like I said, you're looking around the 2009-ish range. These are all-wheel drive vehicles. If you can, go ahead and get one that's above 2012, because I know they worked out some of that. I don't remember when I was researching. It was either the clutch or the transmission, something like that. I know they worked that out after 2012. So try to buy one that, maybe that dentist owned and he was just kind of punching it to go get sushi, as opposed to the kid that bought it and just totally, just put a bunch of shit all over it and just ran it all around town. So just my advice to you on that. Now, if we take a look down here, the GTRs are going to be a 480 horsepower vehicle, and they're running 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds for this particular year of vehicle. Awesome vehicle here, and you gotta love it. You gotta love it. The Nissan GTR is a great vehicle. It's gonna be an awesome daily driver for you. All-wheel drive, 480 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. Oh, baby. Eat your heart out. That's an awesome one. Okay, moving on to the number 1 pick here. This is the one that I ended up going with. Obviously, there's a bit of bias there, but there really isn't a bias, because I could have bought any of these vehicles and I decided to go with this particular one because I thought it just made the most sense for me. We'll talk about it. This is, of course, the American Muscle Tesla Performance Model 3. And I'm probably gonna get a bunch of hate for that, but it's true. They're made in the USA. They're being designed in the USA. Well, it's an American sports car is what it is, in my opinion. These things, it's hard to turn down. We're talking about a 480 horsepower vehicle that's going 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. Not only that, but if you're like me and you're like always running late, it's always got a tank of gas for you. It's always got a full charge. You plug it in when you're at home, and you're good to go on those days that you're running late, rather than like getting in your vehicle and you're like, I'm out of gas, and then you're really late. So anyway, awesome vehicle. Is this a vehicle for somebody who's like a real car enthusiast? You've owned some really awesome classic enthusiast vehicles. No, but it is a great daily driver. I mean, the freaking thing can drive you around. So how awesome is that? 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, and it pulls pretty freaking hard, up to like 75 miles per hour. After that, you have a very good, we'll call it a passing gear. They're only a 1-gear vehicle, but on the highway, they pass real easily. It's just not going to be as like torquey feeling as it is from 0 to 75. Okay. Great vehicles though. The freaking thing can drive you around. It's super comfortable, and the audio is great in those guys. All-wheel drive as well. And like I said, you just plug it in when you get home and you're gonna have a full charge most likely the next day. So that's just awesome. They're super convenient, daily drivers, and you don't have to drive it like it's gonna be a sports car. You can drive it just like a normal car and forget that it's fast at all. So that is my number 1 pick, is the Tesla Performance Model 3. You can definitely pick those suckers up for less than $50,000. You're probably going to be looking at like 17, 18, 19, maybe a 20. You might be able to find a high mileage 20, and those are excellent vehicles. By far my favorite on the list, just because I have one and they're incredible vehicles. Now, quick little side note here for me, I kind of had planned this whole thing out, and I was going to own each of these vehicles for like a 6-month period. So in this list, it's very interesting because you can own a sports car in an electric vehicle. You can own a high performance rear engine vehicle, mid engine vehicle, muscle car, and a Japanese sports car as well. So you can kind of own them all and see what you like for under 50-ish thousand dollars. Some of them might creep a little bit over 50. But you can pretty much drive any of these vehicles and just see what you want. So my plan was to own each of them for like 6-month periods. I was going to start with the muscle car and then just move my way down the list and end ultimately on the Tesla. And I started with the Tesla because it just made too much sense. My wife can drive this thing to go get groceries and it's not a big deal. I'll let my mom test drive this thing, which I have, and it's not a big deal. And not only that, the resale value on these things is terrific. The maintenance is relatively non-existent on those vehicles, and you can still get them in warranty. So that's why I chose the Performance Model 3, which kind of sucks because I love it so much. And it's so fast. Honestly, I think it's the fastest car on this list. 0 to 60 anyway. It's so fast that it's like, I don't know if I would ever go to any of these other vehicles unless I had, you know, a few vehicles in the garage, and like this was just like a really fun one that I was barely gonna drive. One of those kind of things. So anyway, those are my top 5 reliable sports cars for under 50-ish thousand dollars. If you liked the video, please go ahead and give me a like, sub to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.